What's going on YouTube, man? It's your boy 443 Bobby Big Rig. Welcome to my channel. The topic of this video is going to be wealthiest person you know is the biggest risk taker you know. Throughout this video, I'm going to explain what I mean by that. So for one, getting into this trucking industry, getting your CDL, a lot of us, we already have bills, especially if you're older. You know, now if you jump straight out of high school and you already know your game plan and you want to get your CDL and you already got that mindset, that's beautiful, you know, because it's best to get started early. I know people that's younger than me. Matter of fact, I've been trucking for a year now, but my first trainer at the first job that I ever had, he was actually like 2 or 3 years younger than me. He was 2 or 3 years younger than me, man. He was an alright guy. I had a little situation with him, but you know, he was alright for the most part. But he was trucking for about 10 years. He said he'd been trucking since he was like 20, 21. And it's gonna be like that. You know, it's gonna be like that in trucking sometimes. You might end up in a similar situation. Trucking don't got an age on it. Your age in trucking is not your age. Your age in trucking is the day that you got your first job. Your first trucking job. The first time that you was behind this wheel by yourself without a trainer, that's when you was born out here on this road. You know what I'm saying? It ain't the same as you know, you could be 40 years old, but if you just got your CDL, it's going to be a guy that might be 28, 27, you know, and can tell you a lot about this industry. So what I mean when I say the wealthiest person you know is the biggest risk taker you know, you got to take a risk, man. You got to take a risk. No matter what you're dealing with, no matter whether it's at your 9 to 5, no matter if you're a business owner, you know, any business owner I know, they'll tell you about taking risks. Drug dealers, need I say more? You know, we already know the type of risks they taking on a daily basis. But I'm gonna tell you what that has to do with getting your CDL and getting into trucking. Before I got my CDL, I was a manager at Wingstop. I was in Wingstop for about 3 years. I was in management. I was working in management for about going on 10 years, with various different jobs. I worked at a deli for my cousin. My cousin opened up his own deli in Baltimore. That was one of my first experiences without the title of a manager, but actually being put in management positions and situations to where as though, you know, I was managing his store without the title. I was technically a cook, but it got to a point where, you know, I was running the whole store on certain days down there by myself, and that's what gave me the mindset that, you know what, I need to get in management. Like, what am I doing? Like, I'm working jobs. I was doing security. In an area called Federal Hill. I'm from Baltimore. Federal Hill was like an area where it's a nice mixed crowd. It's a lot of bars, and people come out to go to the bar, have drinks, have a little bit of fun. I was doing security down there for a few years, and I ended up in a supervisor position doing that. So I always showed leadership skills, and I realized, you know, that could take me somewhere. So what I was doing, when I was a manager in Wingstop, at the same time I had 2 jobs. At one point while I was in Wingstop, I had 2 jobs. I worked down at a place called Parliament Technologies. This was when I was working in Wingstop. This was in Delaware. I worked at Wingstop out in Delaware, and I worked at a place called Parliament Technologies, where they make stuff for all type of people. They make stuff for the military. But what they do is soundproofing. You know, basically, some of the scraps that they got in their warehouse, I took some scraps home and built a home studio with that stuff. So, you know, they had good stuff, but I worked in the shipping department. And I was actually in a supervisor position in there, right up under my man. My man, he was the shipping coordinator, and I worked directly under him, and I was basically like the lead on the shipping floor, to where as though anybody that worked in shipping on the forklifts, I was the lead. I let somebody, you doing this for the day, you doing that for the day. I'm gonna knock this out, But all that, supervisor / management experience, whether it was from, my cousin's store, whether it was from security. I used to be a custodian. I wasn't the manager, but as a custodian, you kind of manage yourself. I did a lot of different jobs, and it just made me realize, I need to do more, man. But I don't have the funds to really do more like I want to do more. I want to start my own business. I could start a clothing line, this. I had so many different ideas, but I didn't have the funds to do it. I had bills. I got, at this point, I have 6 kids. And I do my best to take care of all 6 of them, from my 16-year-old to my 3-year-old. I do my best to be there for all of my kids. And that takes money, that takes finances. I got bills to pay, I got car note, all type of stuff. So it's hard to really get ahead. It's hard to really break through when you out there working paycheck to paycheck. Working different 9 to 5, hustling and bustling. So I was working 2 jobs. I was working at Wingstop, and I was a forklift operator. I was the lead at Parliament. And one thing I noticed, loading these trucks, the same trucks that I'm driving now, these truck drivers be chilling. They be chilling, and most of the truck drivers I talked to was telling me how they was making good money. Some of them working for themselves, some of them working for companies like FedEx, UPS. They making good money though, with their CDL. So it's like, damn. And then, side note, my dad had his CDL since I was in middle school. So I used to be on the truck with him, stuff like that. So I kind of always had a certain level of respect and a certain fascination with these trucks. So I said, you know what? In order for me to get ahead and become the person that I want to be, become the father that I want to be, I just gotta jump out there, man. I gotta take a leap of faith and do something different that I've always wanted to do, which was get my CDL. So once I set my mind, I'm 34 years old now. When I first got my CDL, it was right after I turned 33. I turned 33 in June. I went to CDL school in July, and I actually got my CDL in July. I went to a 2-week program, but that's a whole other story. That's another story. I'm no storyteller. So, nevertheless, man, around my birthday when I turned 33, I'm a heavy follower of Jesus Christ, man. I believe in the Bible. I believe in every word of God. I believe that every word of God is pure. And it's just something about that age, man. When I turned 33, I'm like, you know what? Jesus Christ, he did it. He completed the mission, in the flesh on earth. He completed his mission at 33. I know I wasn't nowhere near done completing my mission. But I said, you know what? At 33, I'm gonna become a real man, man. I feel like, yeah, I'm out here hustling. I'm working hard. I'm doing what I need to do. And I feel like I wasn't, there was just something missing. And so I said at 33, I'm gonna jump out there. I'm gonna jump out there. I'm gonna take a risk. Like I said, I got 6 kids. I got a lot of responsibilities. It was a major risk leaving my job and deciding to go to CDL school and go and get my CDL and jumping Wingstop right now, I could, man. Shout out to my general manager at Wingstop, man. I can always get my junk